Ready? That's you! Run! You're the Dookie!
Finally, after all these years, Eric Kripke has shed some light on the Vought-backed superhero team, Teenage Kix. In The Boys Season 5, Episode 2, we came face to face with this team of young supes who had only been teased up until now. However, the snappy Gen Z kids we saw weren't all Garth, Ennis, and Darick Robertson's creations. In fact, the only Teenage Kix member who appeared in both the comic and in this new final season under the Teenage Kix brand name is Jetstreak. There's another, but we're saving it for the timely reveal. The others, like Sheline and Countess Crow, are original creations of the showrunner, but can the showrunner actually broadcast just how horrible the real Teenage Kix were in the comics? Well, that's why we're here today, to dig up the entire story of Teenage Kix, all their grotesque acts, and how their journey concluded in the comic books. Teenage Kix started its journey in 2006 and was first properly introduced in issue 4 of The Boys. True to the trademark brutally satirical take on superheroes that the series is known for, the Teenage Kix members were no exception, and the team roughly resembled groups like Generation X or the X-Men. Let's take Popclaw from Teenage Kix as an example. She was clearly a parody of Scandal Savage, and Ennis even confirmed that. But why did Ennis keep coming up with different soup teams when he already had the 7? We first meet Teenage Kix as posters in issue 3 of the comics. Butcher was briefing his gang to fire a shot against the supes, which would let Vought know that the boys were back in business. The easiest target, nothing too heavy or too public according to him, was Teenage Kix. He points to the faces of 8 young supes and says, "This lot is going to be it." That's when we see the black and white images of Popclaw, Shutout, Big Game, Jetstreak, Whackjob, Gunpowder, Dognot, and Blarney Cock. He explains that Teenage Kix is a group of adolescent superheroes with ties to Republican youth groups and evangelist outfits. He describes them as old-fashioned and even says that some are junior versions of the big boys, referring to members of the 7, and that they were nice-ass pie types. In short, Teenage Kix became the perfect target for the boys to start their mission against the 7 and Vought, but wait, there's more. Butcher briefs his group that Teenage Kix is more of an edgy, defiant Gen X superhero team, which has been changed to Gen Z in the show. True to their unruly nature, the costumes of the Teenage Kix members kept changing often, but at the bottom line, there was just a lot of skin, tattoos, and piercings. Ennis used a lot of stereotypical ideas to establish these kids as kind of delinquents. They were known for showing up at premieres and events with models on their arms, so when Kripke traded that for social media influencers, he made a fitting update for the times. Now, when the 7 are out looking for new recruits, they do pick up some of the top-ranking members of Teenage Kix, and for the big reveal, A-Train also got into the 7 from there. So the scene is set. The group is well known, but not exactly beloved, with some senior superheroes considering them a bit too much, which means breaking a couple of them wouldn't stir up a riot. With the plan chalked out, the boys went over to the Teenage Kix apartment, and this is when we actually see them in action, which, by the way, was a disgusting nightmare when we first read this issue. Naked superheroes running around the halls with nothing but their eye masks or shoes, and it gets worse when we're thrown into the middle of a highly questionable orgy, which Garth, Ennis, and Darick Robertson depicted as graphically as possible. Honestly, Huey and I had the same reaction while witnessing Teenage Kix for the first time. Butcher explained that most of the members were into one kind of kink or another, but what Huey witnessed was a celebration after putting the fearsome 4 back into Riker's prison, and that celebration included everything. Hiring prostitutes, snorting something that looked like blue cocaine, and soon after, we see some Teenage Kix members busy in their own worlds. Popclaw harms herself, Shoutout and Big Game are kissing, Whackjob is entertaining some kids, and Blarney Cock is stealing from a hospital. Oh, and Big Game makes Gunpowder do some oral stuff on him too. That guy took full advantage of being the leader. This group was messed up beyond words. The boys observe everything from a distance and click enough pictures to ruin their reputation forever. Now, before we get any further into what happened to Teenage Kix, let me tell you about their powers and origins. Like many so-called supes in this universe, it's possible that both Big Game and Shoutout were exposed to Compound V by Vought American as children, or even in the womb, developing superpowers as a result. As teenagers, they went on to join Teenage Kix. Big Game is comparable to Nightwing and has the ability to fly. He was even mentioned in Season 2 of the series, where Starlight revealed that his real name was David, that he once played Pontius Pilate in a school play, and that he had a crush on her. Shoutout possesses the ability to fly, along with the power to manipulate electrical energy to an unknown extent, allowing him to generate lightning blasts to attack his enemies. Big Game and Shoutout were sexual partners, but kept their truth hidden from the public eye, and we also have Dognot, a rather bizarre member of the team who possesses dog-like characteristics, including a fur-covered body and presumably retractable claws. While the full extent of his abilities is never really explored, it's safe to assume that he has some additional canine-based powers to go along with his appearance. And now, for those who actually showed up in the Boys Amazon series, Gunpowder, Popclaw, and Jetstreak. First, Gunpowder is a parody of Judge Dredd in the comics. His TV series counterpart, however, leaned more towards a parody of Deadshot due to his unnatural accuracy while using firearms, and he was a part of Payback in the show. In Season 3 of The Boys, he was portrayed by Sean Patrick Flannery as an ex-sidekick of Soldier Boy. Known as a gun rights activist, Gunpowder was later questioned by Billy Butcher about Soldier Boy's whereabouts and how he had once begged Vought to take him back. After that, Butcher, being Butcher, killed him mercilessly with his newfound superpowers. Popclaw appeared in the show much earlier, and intriguingly, she was given a much larger role and backstory than on the pages. I guess that was kind of compensation for all the questionable sexual positions they couldn't show in the series. Her real name is Charlotte, and she was once a fairly popular teenage actress and superhero. However, things quickly went downhill for her when her partying lifestyle and drug abuse were exposed by the paparazzi, permanently damaging her reputation and pushing her out of the superhero spotlight. While she continued acting, she was reduced to doing D-list films and slowly faded from relevance. Somewhere along the way, she got into a secret relationship with A-Train. Eventually, the two spiraled into addiction, using Compound V as a drug. That kind of explains why Huey was confused when he saw the Teenage Kix members snorting weird blue powder. It didn't take her long to end up on the boys' radar, and one fine day, she injected herself with Compound V and, in a horrifying accident, killed her landlord during intercourse. Completely shaken by what she'd done, she was then confronted by the boys and blackmailed into revealing where A-Train was getting the drug from, which led to a whole lot of chaos, and it ended with A-Train killing her by injecting her with multiple heroin needles and staging it as an overdose. Her death was later investigated by Starlight, who pointed out that only an idiot would believe it's a suicide. And finally, we have Jetstreak in this season, which prominently marks the inclusion of Teenage Kix in the series. He's a very obvious nod to Marvel's Jetstream and Kid Flash, or at least that's what his look tells us. This is indirectly confirmed by the fact that in the series he levitates, he possesses superhuman strength, and he has the ability to fly. However, after being exposed to the supe virus, he perishes instantly in episode 2. Oh, and also Dognot appears in the 3rd episode, and though he popped up in Gen V Season 2, you can't help but wonder how deep Eric Kripke is going with the Teenage Kix aspect in this season by bringing in such comic-accurate characters. Okay, now let's check out the most controversial members of Teenage Kix, Blarney Cock and Whack Job, two of the closest friends in the group. Martin Nurse, better known as Blarney Cock, was the illegitimate son of the Legend and Queen Maeve. You can't even imagine how nasty their relationship was in the comics. Martin was raised in an Irish orphanage through the influence of Vought, and once his powers manifested, he was recruited and shipped to the US, eventually rising through the ranks to join Teenage Kix. Known for his crude and racist tendencies, he also had a habit of stealing painkillers from children's hospitals. Yep, that's what he was doing in the earlier issues. Intriguingly, some fans have imagined a deeper backstory for Whack Job, aka Dara McDermott. In this fan canon version, he was born to Irish immigrants in America and showed a chaotic streak from an early age. His life changed when Vought approached his family and injected him with Compound V, granting him the ability to manipulate electromagnetic forces, generate powerful energy bursts, and disrupt electronic systems. However, his powers were highly unstable, often reflecting his unpredictable personality. It was during their teenage years that the two crossed paths. Sharing the same Irish roots and rebellious nature, they quickly became best friends, and from then on, they remained close within Teenage Kix. Now let's check out how their life panned out after the boys started tailing them. Butcher managed to bug their apartment and left the photos in a place where they'd find them, and in issue 5, the boys are having a gala of a time listening to the fights between the Teenage Kix members when they're turning on each other after seeing the proof of their debauchery. Finally, the boys plan their attack and decide which member to take out that could do the most harm to the team. Butcher eliminates Popclaw, Gunpowder, Dognot, and Jetstreak from his list of targets, while Huey suggests Big Game, but Butcher knows that he's too protected by his team members to get a clean shot on him. Meanwhile, Teenage Kix finds out that it was the boys blackmailing them, and they come together for a major showdown. Big Game even drops a steamy line or two to, but what happens at the end of that confrontation will blow your mind. Pun intended. Butcher headbutts Big Game, whose face splatters into blood because Butcher broke his nose and apparently even knocked out a few of his teeth, while MM launches a fatal punch on Gunpowder. Frenchie and the female, the unnamed version of Kimiko from the comics, take on Jetstreak and Popclaw respectively. Chaos is on. Poor Huey gets chased by Whackjob, shooting electric bolts, while MM is now dealing with Dognaught. Butcher tells Huey to take care of Blarney Cock, and this is just one of the weirdest fights I've ever witnessed in a comic book. As Frenchie says, Petite Huey was no longer so petite. He punched Blarney in the stomach, not realizing what one dose of Compound V had done to him. Huey's blow literally punches a hole through Blarney's body. On the other hand, Butcher is giving Shoutout a hard time, or well, he's giving his genitals a hard time to be more precise. Honestly, I feel a little bad for that guy, but you know how Butcher is, absolutely diabolical. Huey, meanwhile, is traumatized to see what he's done, and right then, that's when a little hamster pops out of, wait for it, Blarney's pants. I'll let you guys deduce what was going on there. Huey actually ends up adopting this little animal and names him Jamie. The Seven, particularly Homelander, is disturbed by what happened to the Teenage Kix, and Vought goes on to arrange one of their grand funerals for Blarney Cock. The news report says that Teenage Kix was attacked by a group of terrorists, and Cock paid the price while his teammates said some really glorious stuff about him. Typical eulogies, you know? But one question remained. Who were Teenage Kix informants? After they decide to throw one of their teammates under the bus and expose their reality, Homelander realizes that this trick screams Billy Butcher, and he probably sent them to the street fight. Oh, and the teammate they threw under the bus? That was Shoutout. Shoutout being gay was disclosed to the public to keep the rest of the team safe, so he appears on television and says, "I am a gay superhuman." And as far as the informant is concerned, it's actually Homelander. He saw the news and figured out how the tricks screamed Billy Butcher. Thus, he sent an unnamed email to Teenage Kix informing them about the boys, leading to the street fight. You'd think this would be the end of the boys' adventures with Teenage Kix, but oh no, it was far from over. At least for Huey, because Blarney Cock was brought back by Vought as a nearly brain-dead soup. Yep, you heard that right. Vought basically wanted to use him again and show that their fallen comrade was back from the great beyond, but Blarney came back as a reanimated corpse, and the rest of his team was again fighting about how to handle the situation. In issue 18, Huey sees Blarney with his pants down, peeing randomly, and looking at the hamster he took in. Of course, the conversation turns towards how Huey killed him, but Blarney doesn't look like he's there to make Huey pay for it. Rather, when he tries to get his hands on Jamie again, Huey loses his shit and kills him all over again. This time, he throws him in a dumpster and lights the body on fire. Apart from a few name drops here and there, like when the boys compared the G-Men to Teenage Kix, the rest of the Teenage Kix members practically vanished from the comics after they all appeared bandaged and maimed at Blarney Cock's funeral. Big Game, however, made a very brief cameo in Herogasm, where he can be seen flying alongside Homelander and some other supes. So yeah, Teenage Kix didn't get to live a long, glorious superhero life and continue engaging in their blasphemous activities thanks to Billy Butcher. Still, old habits die hard, and that's exactly why Big Game made it to Herogasm even after all of this. However, with them popping up this season, maybe Teenage Kix will get more scope and more screen time. Sadly though guys, that's all we got for you today. Teenage Kix was one hell of a twisted soup group, and the fact that the Seven often took in members from there shows that the derangement runs deep within the organization. Let us know your thoughts in the comments down below, and if you like this video, don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel so we know to make more videos like it. Otherwise, thanks for watching, stay safe out there, and we'll see ya in the next one. Bye for now.